Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Gooner. Hope you're all doing well. Good afternoon, good evening. Sorry, Jesus Christ, I will get there eventually. Joining me this evening is Kevin Campbell. How you doing, Kev?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Dan. I'm really good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Yeah, I'm not too bad at all. Listen, it's good to have you back on the show. Listen, I know there's lots of people in the comments been itching to for me to get you back on. So it's good to have you back on the show.
No, listen, there's loads to discuss, isn't there? There's loads of
There
things to
is.
discuss. So I'm happy to be on, and let's get cracking. Let's fire it up, man.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, big up everybody watching as well. Before I get into the many topics there is to discuss, I just want to remind you all to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and yeah, keep supporting the channel. Would really appreciate it. Also, as well, I just realised that my second intro didn't kick in. I have no idea what happened there, but listen, that's the beauty of live streaming. The sometimes get more problems, but listen, we're Arsenal fans. We know all about problems because we've got plenty of them at the moment. So, Kev, let's start with Aston Villa, which is probably the best place to start.
Is it? Do you think it is?
Well, listen, it is and it isn't because listen, it's thrown up a lot of talking points among the Arsenal fan base. So basically, what I want to do is I want to get your initial thoughts on the game and where did it go wrong, Kev? Where did it go wrong?
When Arsenal turned up for the game, that's when it started going wrong. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I think.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think Mikel Arteta was shocked at how the team played. The team capitulated. They didn't. It's like they had no fight in them. It looked like they looked lethargic. And the way he sets the teams up, when you do get back into a position and you've got to press the opposition and you've got to get close to the ball in order to affect the ball so they don't play through you. But that was the whole problem of Arsenal on Sunday. They got back into position, but for some reason they couldn't affect the ball. They didn't want to do the extra yards to get closer to the ball. And that's why Aston Villa seemed like they could always play through us, play around us. It wasn't Arsenal. And I think, as I said, Mikel Arteta was very shocked with the ease in which Aston Villa cut through us. And nobody had a good game, let's be brutally honest. But I think Mikel Arteta learned a lot about some of the players on Sunday because he's trusted in quite a few of these players and they haven't been performing. So I think what's going to happen now, he's going to watch a lot of videos, he's going to watch a lot of the footage, and he's the one, he took the blame on his shoulders after the game, looked a bit shell-shocked, but he's the one who's going to have to make the adjustments now. And I think he will make some adjustments because the team just hasn't been performing.
Yeah. And on that, who do you think that Arteta has put too much faith in the players that he's put faith in? Because let's be honest, Kev, right? We've not scored from open play in the last 4 hours of football, which is unacceptable from a club of our stature. You know, we've not scored from open play since I think it was the Sheffield game, and Pepe scored. So do you think Arteta's maybe picking the wrong players?
No, of course not. Hey, listen, I didn't hear anything after we beat Manchester United 1-0. I didn't hear anybody saying that Arteta picked the wrong team. Did you? I didn't hear it.
No, but
no, Dan, there's no buts.
there
After
is a but,
Manchester, no,
Kev.
no, no. After
There is a
Manchester
but.
United, no. After Manchester United, everybody was happy. We weren't happy about. We should have beaten Manchester United more, yes, but nobody could say we didn't play well because we did. Drop 10 players and we put 10 players in midweek, and the team performed well in the Europa League. They done very well, some outstanding performances, and looked the part. So you're coming into Sunday against Aston Villa, and we're thinking, hey, listen, he names the team. It's the same team that beat Man United, and you think we're at home. We're going to take Villa. But when the team don't turn up, Dan, you're open to everything. Anybody could say anything. This one shouldn't be in. That one shouldn't be in. Of course you can, because nobody played well. Everybody was poor on Sunday.
Yeah. See, just going quickly back to that Man United game, I said as soon as the game finished, I said, listen, that was a great result, but two things worried me in that game. The one thing that worried me is that we didn't score from open play. We scored from a penalty, and had we not got that, would we have got the win? And the second thing is, because everybody was so happy, I was worried because, Kev, we've been here before, innit, where we've had a good result, and that's fine. And the result, listen, when you beat a big team, is brilliant, but it's how you go on after that. And I said, let's just be cautious a little bit here, because we've had it before where we won against a big team, like, say, look at a team like Chelsea, and then we've gone on and we've lost the next 2 to 3 games, and we've just been back to square one. For me, winning against a big team is great, but you have to build on that. You have to go and then beat the team the week after. And a team like Aston Villa, and especially when we're playing them at home, we should be beating them. We cannot be winning away at United one week and capitulating against Aston Villa the next week, considering, we have aspirations of getting into the top 4. A team like Aston Villa, we should be beating.
Yeah, listen, Dan, you're taking words out of my mouth. But the fact of the matter is, Dan, the players have been inconsistent this season, especially this season. So we have no divine right. We have no divine right to say, we're going to beat Aston Villa. The key to it is the players have to perform, and the players have not performed consistently. We've probably played well in 2 games this season. That's the Fulham game and the Manchester United game. Apart from that, we haven't played well as a team. We haven't played well.
Again, then, as a manager, as Arteta, and I'm not, listen, a lot of people might think that I'm picking on Arteta a lot here, but
no, we're having a discussion. That's fine.
Listen, the thing is, Kev, right? As a manager, you've got to take responsibility for your actions, and
so do you think he's not?
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. For the simple fact being, how many games has Lacazette started this season, and how many games and how many chances has he missed, and how many games has he underperformed in? Now, for me, I would have taken him out the side and switched it up at the top 3. It baffles me, Kev, why Aubameyang is shoehorned out to that left-hand side when you could stick him down the middle, and I'm pretty certain that the chances that Lacazette gets, you give those same 3 or 4 chances a game that Aubameyang gets, 9 times out of 10, 1 or 2 of them is going in.
Dan, it doesn't work like that, Dan. They're 2 different players. Now, the key to it is Lacazette plays because he's good at holding it up. He's good with his back to goal. Or he's better than Aubameyang with his back to goal. Aubameyang likes to run onto the ball. So Lacazette plays a key role in the functionality of the team. Now, you stick Aubameyang through the middle, maybe he doesn't get the chances that Lacazette gets because there's nobody. He's going to be the hold-up guy. So it's going to be different. Obviously, the manager might change it now, etc., etc. But he's the one who has to find the correct balance. Now, you mentioned Aubameyang being shoehorned out to the left. Aubameyang has won the Golden Boot, and he finished, was it second last season for the Golden Boot, being on the left. So with 20 odd goals in the season, you can't tell me that it hasn't worked. It's just not working right now. So again,
but then when it's not working, you should change it. That's what I'm saying.
No, but hold on. So again, this is why we're at the international break now, and it's time for the manager to make that adjustment. This is what management is. He believes in his system, he trusts it, but when it's not working, now we're going to see Mikel Arteta have to adjust. And he's going to have to, because it's not working the way he wants it to work. So we're going to see in the next game, aren't we?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? That is the $1 million question. I'm not so confident that he's going to change it, because it hasn't worked for the last 3 or 4. It hasn't. Listen, it worked against United because away from home, the system that he plays suits us better. But when you're at home and you should be on the front foot, that system that he's using is not working.
Daniel, you're wrong. You're wrong. That system can be as offensive or as defensive as the players that play it. Mark my words. That system can be very offensive, but the issue is the players are inconsistent. We've seen that same system beat other teams, but the problem is Arsenal ain't playing well, Dan. You only beat teams mostly when you're playing well. They say the sign of any good team is when you don't play well and you win games. Well, Arsenal have won 4 games and they've lost 4 games. So that tells you when Arsenal don't play well, they lose more times than they win. Okay? So so it's players that make systems. It isn't system that make players.
But
and
then
that's what people have to understand. It's players that make systems.
But say for a second that, listen, what you're saying is right, and I agree with you. But then if players aren't performing, you don't keep playing them, do you? You sort of drop them out.
But this is where we're at, Dan, because they did perform against Manchester United. We didn't score in open play, but we won the game, and we should have beaten Manchester United 2 or 3, but we didn't. I said it previously that I worry that we're not clinical enough. That's what I said after on Kev Says with Highbury squad. We're not clinical enough, but it was a good performance. Now the next game was midweek and he changed 10 players. And then it was the next game after that where the team could get back together and play was Aston Villa, just before the obviously international break. So that's the only time you could judge them again, because the game they played at Man United, they were fine. They capitulated. Nobody turned up. They might as well have played Aston Villa with nobody on the pitch. It was as poor a performance as we've seen from Arsenal in years. So again, what does Arteta do? He has to go back to the drawing board and he has to look at it and he has to make adjustments. That's all he can do.
But he could have done that in the game and we could have got a result. Remember at half time, we're only losing 1-0. At half time, we're only losing 1-0.
Only, Dan, we couldn't pass water. We were poor. Listen, it was worse in the second half. No matter what you try, Arsenal were not going to win that game. I'm telling you now. They were from first minute, and in the 40th second, I think we got the warning, to the 90-odd minute. We weren't winning anything, mate. Let's be honest. We weren't winning anything. We were just too poor. Like I said, it shocked Arteta, Dan. And Dan, I'm not having he would have made no adjustment would have changed that performance, mate. Nothing.
but we don't know that.
Oh no, I know it. I know it. We're just not. We are not playing well enough, Dan. We're not.
And that's because he's playing players that have underperformed. I want to just quickly go back to Lacazette, right? Because for me, Lacazette's an interesting one because he has gone from being player of the season to last season and then this season massively underperforming. And I don't see how, having somebody in a team just because of his work rate, a striker. This is just the way I see it. A lot of people will probably disagree with me, but a striker, his main object is to score goals. And when you don't do that, and listen, we have to factor in as well that we lack creativity. So we need all the creative outlets we can get. And when a player of Lacazette's caliber is underperforming, I just think that actually weakens the team more than, when you take into effect that all our creative issues at the moment, I just don't see why you would persist with playing him.
Like I said before, what Lacazette brings to the team, there isn't another player who can do it. Aubameyang isn't great with his back to goal. Lacazette binds the team. He's the one who holds it up. He's the one who takes the buffeting. He's the one who brings other players into the game in order to get us up the pitch. So, again, what you talk about, strikers, I have to disagree with you, because what tends to happen sometime is you get strikers. One striker is like the main man who receives the ball, and the other one is the goal scorer. Very rarely you get two strikers who score 50 goals. You get one striker who probably chip in with 12, and then the other striker would get 20 odd.
Yeah.
So the one who scores 12 is vital to the team, like a Firmino at Liverpool, for instance. He's not judged by his goals. He's judged by what he brings to the team. And I think that's the way Arteta is trying to use Lacazette. But Lacazette's out of form right now. The team are out of form, Dan. I can't stress that enough. And you could take Lacazette out and you could change it. Of course you can. Of course you could do that and maybe see what happens. And that's what Mikel Arteta might have to do. But I'm only talking about the reason why he's been playing.
And let's flip that then. Let's flip it, right? Because there are players in form that are not getting in the team.
In form like who?
So take, for instance, you got Joe Willock, right? Yeah.
He's in form. He's in form in the Europa League. You're playing against Dundalk and that sort of team. Come on, Dan. The key to it is Mikel Arteta, unfortunately, and I like Willock, by the way. I think Willock could do a job. I do. I think he could do a job, because I don't think there's a midfielder like him at the football club who runs in behind. But obviously, right now, up to this point, Mikel Arteta doesn't trust him enough yet. That may change. That may change after the break. But up to the Aston Villa game, he didn't trust him enough to put him in the Premier League side, or squad for that matter.
I just think, we've seen it, and it's not just under Arteta. So I'm not necessarily saying that this is an Arteta issue, but we've seen it under Emery, we've seen it under Freddie Ljungberg. These players obviously have got some issues with mentality, but I just look on it now that if it hasn't worked with these players, if it's not worked with the previous managers, I don't see why you persist with it when there's young players who you can actually develop. Because you can develop, players like Willock, and you can develop players like Nelson and Smith Rowe. I would be inclined to give them a chance, because see, the thing is, if those guys fail, a lot more people will be understanding because of their age and because of their development process. Whereas these experienced guys just keep failing and letting us down. and it's nothing we haven't seen before. We've seen all this before. So would it really hurt us to give those youngsters an opportunity to show what they can do?
Well, as far as Mikel Arteta's concerned, yes, it will, because that's the only reason why they haven't had a chance yet. Because whether we like it or not, Mikel Arteta is the one with his neck on the block. Now, he's got players there, international players there, Dan,
Yeah.
that he feels he has to pick because they're earning a fortune, for one, and they have got talent. The key isn't that they haven't got talent. They've got the talent. But the problem is they are so inconsistent, Dan. It's crazy. So
They're
again,
very inconsistent.
Right. Now, Mikel Arteta obviously speaks to them. He sees them in training and he's there seeing them perform and he's thinking, right, you keep doing this and you'll be more consistent. I'll get more out of you. But Dan, we've seen it under 3 different managers.
Yeah.
They are consistently inconsistent, if that makes sense. They could do it one week and the next week they turn up and they're not even there. It's a shell. We've seen it. But the problem is, Dan, and it goes back to the recruitment, it goes back to the summer or whatever transfer window we had. We don't have enough assets, tradable assets in the football club to trade, to get money in order to beef up this squad. Because this is not Mikel Arteta's squad. This is Mikel Arteta's inherited. You see him finally buy a centre-half. You see him finally buy a centre midfielder, which now we've got a little bit of a spine finally. But it's the supporting cast that ain't good enough.
Yeah.
The supporting cast are not good enough. So until Mikel Arteta can move and shake and do things, he has to make serious decisions. Does he trust Willock? No, he's got Xhaka there, he's got Ceballos. He's not going to play Willock over them guys who he's paying fortunes to. Not at the minute. And vice versa. I don't know why Maitland-Niles ain't in the side. Because
Maitland-Niles should be in over.
Yeah,
he should be he should be our right back. You know,
exactly.
He should be our right back.
But again, Bellerin's just been called up to Spain. He's a Spanish international. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is now an England international. No position for him in the team. So what do you do? Again, Mikel Arteta has some tough decisions to make moving forward, Daniel.
And that's my next topic, the topic of Arteta, because Arteta.
I thought it was Arteta.
Well, no, this was I was questioning the players, but Kev, for you, right? And I'm not Arteta out, not by any stretch of the imagination. I just find myself questioning some of the things he does. Now, listen, a lot of people, will not question his tactics and decisions, but I find myself, and I was prepared to wait, to give him time, and I still am, because I do believe that he needs a full season to show us what he can do. But for you, do you believe that Arteta is the right guy to take us forward?
Yeah, I do. But that don't mean you can't question him. Jeez, a manager at a club like Arsenal is going to get questioned all the time. Now, normally what we say is back the manager, and when it's his team, then he should be judged. But the great thing that happened for Arteta at the back end of last season, he got these players, he built a system, and they ended up beating Manchester City, who usually whoop us. We beat them in the semi-final. Beat Liverpool in the league. Got to the final of the FA Cup and beat Chelsea in the final after going a goal down. With these same players, which every Arsenal fan loved. We love it because we won something.
Yeah.
But the problem for Arsenal, and the problem that Arteta is now finding, is that this team and squad are not built for the week to week. They're built on a one-off. Arsenal could beat anybody. We need it week to week. Whatever he needs of them, they've got to perform. They can't do it, Daniel. We've seen it week in, week out for a couple of seasons now. They can't do it.
But then I don't get, and we keep coming back to this, they can't do it, but there's players in there that possibly can do it. You know, that are on the
like
bench.
Who? Like who?
Well, listen, Pepe's not had a successful run of games. You know, he's a sort of newcomer. He's only been here a season. I know. Listen, obviously Martinelli's injured, but when he comes back, that guy was on fire.
But he's been in a long-term injury, so I wouldn't even mention Martinelli yet, because don't expect too much from him. Give him a long time to get his legs under him again, Dan. It'd be too much for the young man, maybe.
You've got Saliba, who can,
Good question. Good question.
Who was tipped to be the next, big defensive
Varane.
partner.
They're saying he's
Gabriel.
the next Varane, isn't he? They say he's the next Varane. We've not even seen him.
And that's the thing.
That's a good question. That is a good question.
This is where so I want to throw a couple of things at you, and I want your thoughts. So the first one, this is in regards to Arteta. So the first one is that when he come in, Arteta wasn't my first choice to get the job. I felt at the time when we were looking for a new manager, we needed somebody with experience, especially when you've got a group of players that one week play like prime Barcelona and then another week play like just the crappiest team in the country. So I felt that we needed a bit of experience. But when Arteta come in and spoke for that first time, you couldn't help but get sucked in and think, do you know what? Okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. And one of the things he said was that he was gonna play players on performances. And we all as Arsenal fans sat back and thought, great, that is somebody who we've needed. We needed somebody to actually, when these players are underperforming, not play them. But what's happened, and you see it with several players, that they have a good game, have a good couple of games, and they get dropped for no apparent reason. There's no justification for that. You look at Martinelli, right? Yeah, before he got injured, he won Player of the Month, and then Arteta just drops him for no apparent reason. And it's just little situations like that, Kev, that make me wonder. And that comes down to a lack of experience. And
no, I don't think it is, Dan. I think it's a squad game. It is a squad game. I think it's more of a squad game now than it ever has been. Okay? So the fact of the matter is, we don't know, you don't know, I don't know if Martinelli was carrying the injury at the time when he got dropped, or he felt a little something in his knee. You don't know. And because soon enough, he was out, wasn't he? So again, looking at it, you could say it's an inexperience. I don't think it is. I personally think Mikel Arteta, he's come in, he's got a whole, he's had a lot of work to do, Dan, coming into there. He's had the 5 captain thing to sort out. He's had the defense to sort out. He's had the midfield to sort out, where teams could drive a truck through our midfield and defense. He's had the attack to get going again, because we had to stop shipping goals. And don't forget, Dan, do you remember Watford away last season, where we're 2-0 up, cruising, and then we end up hanging on for dear life at 2-2, and Watford give us a right going over in the second half.
Yeah.
That was with all of the so-called guys who people say, no, this one should play, that one should play. They were all there. So again, The consistency has always been an issue. But what Arteta had to do, Arteta is building from the back to the front. And that's what he has to do, because you know what, Dan? You are going to win nothing if you're conceding too many goals. You're going to win nothing.
Of course. But you're also going to win nothing if you're not scoring them.
Yeah, but you know what, Dan? Dan, here's the thing, Dan. Here's the thing. If you keep a clean sheet, you've got a better chance of winning. Because you're not always going to be able to outscore teams 3 or 4. No chance. No way. The best teams keep the clean sheet and they'll get a goal and nick it 1-0. Thank you very much. We know all about that 1-0 to the Arsenal, don't we? So, again, it's maybe a different philosophy than Emery, who kind of was attack-minded and left the back door open. But you can't have... We want both, but at the moment with the players, it's either got to go one way or the other. And Mikel Arteta is decided he's going to build from the back. And look, before the Aston Villa game, we had the best defence in the league. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans were happy about that. I know I was. Weren't you?
Yeah, of course. You know, listen, I think with defensively...
we've been better, haven't we? We have been better.
You know, we've been better. And, you know, part of that comes down to the fact that we've got a young kid in Gabriel who is absolutely outstanding and who's going to be a real talent.
Yeah.
You know, when you know, you give better players, you put better players around him. You know, and this is why I don't get what, you know, why would you not put Saliba by him? You know, like the problem with playing Rob Holding, and I like Rob Holding. I think he's a decent player, but the problem is he's been out long term, and I don't think he's ever fully recovered from that. But yet you've got a guy who's Saliba, who is probably match fit, who is probably, you know, easier to develop because he's not got the hangover from previous regimes at this football club. He's just come in, and actually, this is the thing. We keep saying that these players are inconsistent, but then, you know, don't pick them. Don't pick them. Pick certain ones that you can develop, because you know, obviously there's certain players that I believe are uncoachable at this football club, and then there's certain players that you can actually, they do have strengths, and you can just home in on their strengths, which is kind of what Arteta's system did at the end of last season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's just little things like that with Arteta. And like I said, I'm not Arteta out by any stretch of the imagination. I do believe he is a good... do you know what, right? And I was thinking about this the other day. Arteta reminds me of a young player. So you get a young player, and you can see he's got bags of ability, but he's just lacking the experience. That's the way I look at Arteta. You can see that he's got potential to be a great manager, but lacking the experience. The problem is taking the Arsenal job when we've had a decade of mediocrity, and I don't blame Arteta for taking the Arsenal job, but taking the Arsenal job, you know, when we need experience and we need it now, I just don't think right now an Arsenal is a good fit for Arteta. I think if we were in a better position with a, you know, better squad, better position financially,
but
I think Arteta could do great...
But you never... a young manager is never going to get the Arsenal job when the team's doing well and the money's there. You're never going to get it. You're only ever going to get the job when it's doing bad. Never forget that, Dan. And because let's be truthful, the Saliba situation has baffled me. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why this young man hasn't even been in the squad. We've not seen him on the pitch. I don't know why, but Mikel Arteta sees him in training every day. And obviously there's talk of him maybe going out on loan in January and all this kind of thing. I don't know why, because we've seen Mustafi come from nowhere, be on the bench and get in on the pitch. We've seen Rob Holding, who's been out a little while. He came in against Manchester United. Excuse me. He performed. He done well against Manchester United. But there's always going to be a dip because he hasn't got all the games under his belt, and he dipped against Aston Villa. I don't know why William Saliba doesn't get a chance. It baffles me. But
Yeah,
I'm not the manager, and this is something I agree with you on. You know, why not give him a chance? He can make mistakes, of course he can. But you know what? I'd rather a new signing, young centre half, come in and be making the mistakes than putting the Mustafi in. I'd rather Saliba make the mistakes and get the experience. That's for sure. Because Mustafi's gone at the end of the season. Do you understand what I mean?
And that is one of the things why I'm sort of holding, I'm sort of being a bit reserved on Arteta, and I'm not completely, Arteta out, because 97% of this squad in the summer is going to be leaving, and he will have a chance to get his own players in. The problem is, right? The problem is we can't afford to be out the Champions League another season. Now, nobody knows what's going to happen going forward.
Dan.
But I can tell you that if we're out the Champions League the next year, the problem is, Kev, right? This cycle needs to be broken. And to break the cycle, I genuinely believe we've got to be in the Champions League so that we can attract better players and that we can attract better finances.
Dan, next summer is the key, because there's a lot of dead wood. Contracts are up. There's a big contract going to be up, etc. Yeah, do we need to be in the Of course we need to be in the Champions League. But let's be brutally honest now. If we don't make the Champions League, I'll be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. Let me tell you. I'll be surprised, yeah, because we are good enough to make it in either the Premier League or the Europa. But if we don't make it, I will not be shocked, because we're still expecting the same consistently inconsistent players to be consistent. It makes no sense. Do you understand what I mean? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
We are not going to revamp and change the whole squad all of a sudden now. Yeah, he could give young players a chance, but the young players will go up and down. They will go up and down.
I agree with you. I think they will. But the thing is, Kev, I think a lot of people would be a lot more of our fans would be, okay, listen, the young players are making mistakes, but listen, they're trying. Whereas we've seen these players time and time again under different managers make mistakes. And I've said it, right, you can't re-coach an older generation of players. So guys like David Luiz and Willian, you can't coach them. They're too over the hill. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. Guys like Smith Rowe.
That's not true. Daniel, that is not, come on now, that's not true. If you remember rightly, when I came on your podcast last season and we were discussing David Luiz, you remember? And he was making mistake after mistake. Do you remember?
Yeah. I remember making it.
Yeah. And then come the end of the season, David Luiz was probably our most consistent player. He played brilliantly in the semi-final. He played brilliantly in the final. Flawless he was. So you can't say he cannot be coached. Of course he can. And this is the issue. The best players are open to the coaching because it makes them better and it creates longevity for their career. They can be coached. The problem we've got, Daniel, is we're not playing well enough. If the team's playing well, it's a different story. Arsenal are just not playing well enough at the moment, and it kills me. And I know it kills you, mate. But we're just not performing as a team. or individuals. We know we've got a couple of individuals who are doing okay, but as a team, we're not doing the business.
Listen, I think we could. I think we could disagree.
We could listen. We could go on about this all night, can't we?
Look. I just think that there's solutions in this team to get it functioning. Because we've seen it. I just think there's. What's your thoughts on Pepe getting into the team? Because
Pepe could get into the team, Daniel.
Willian, but you look at Willian, right? And we got him on a free, and listen, I'm a fan of Willian. I think he's a decent player, but since that Fulham game, which, let's be honest, Kev, you can't really judge him against Fulham because I think even an inexperienced footballer could do well against Fulham. But since then he's not really done anything. But you look at Pepe, okay, yes, I know he's played against games in the Europa League, but he's still scoring. He still offers something. And again, he is a younger age than Willian, and I just believe that you can get more out of him. And I just think that, okay, I get what you're saying, that we're not playing well as a team. Listen, that's
so whether you okay, let's say you take,
you've got to change it. You've got, yeah, but okay, if a player's playing well, Daniel, if a player's not playing well, if a player's not playing, let me put this to you like this, right, Kev? If a player's not playing well, like if you're not performing well at your job, right, and your boss says, okay, don't worry, I'll still, you can still play next week. That doesn't set a benchmark or a winning mentality.
Well, what winning mentality have we had?
But do you see what I'm saying? Like, no,
I know what you're saying, but you're saying about winning ruthless. Mentality. What winning mentality have we had, Daniel? Again, you could stick Pepe in there. When the team ain't playing well, you could put Pepe in there. You could change whoever you want. When the team are not playing well, we're not going to win. We're struggling. It is for the manager to find the right balance in this team, because not only do you have to find the right balance offensively, we've got to find the right balance defensively as well.
Then change the system.
It's not the system. I'm not going to go. The system doesn't make that. The system is just players going out there in a certain position. It's the players who have to perform, Daniel.
I get what you're saying, but I just don't understand. And maybe listen, you're more experienced than I am when it comes to football knowledge and stuff. I just don't understand, like, if a team is not playing well, why you would consistently stick with that same system and that same set of players.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm not understanding.
Daniel, hold on a minute. Mikel Arteta changes the system for the opposition. Quite a few times he makes adjustments to the team for the opposition. Because there's times we play a back four. There's times we play 4-3-3. And there's times we play 3-5-3, 3-4-3. So you can't say to me he doesn't change the system, because he does. But the problem is, Dan, whether we play 4-4-2, 3-5-2, 3-4-3, we are not playing well, mate. We're not. We're just not playing. And Pepe's been in the team. We haven't played well. Willian's been in the team. We haven't played well. Lacazette, Aubameyang, all them have been in the team, and we haven't played well. So he, as a manager, he has to work out how does he get the right balance? Now, changing the system, again, like I said, doesn't mean that you're going to play well. It's the players that have to perform. It's a hard one, and you know what? It is a frustrating one for us Gooners, mate. I'm frustrated too.
So, having said all of that, Kev, what would you do if you were Arteta and you're in his position, as we are now, scratching our heads? What would you do?
I would play Aubameyang and Lacazette as a front two. So you can either go 4-4-2 or you can go 3-5-2. But I want my two guys 1v1 with the defenders, centre backs, because I believe you're going to get a lot more out of them. You can get a lot more combinations between them and with the wingers. You can. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and I did wonder that, with Aubameyang and Lacazette, because they can play well together. We know that they can play well together. What would you do in that midfield, Kev? Who would you play in that midfield? Who would? Because this is the thing as well. Like, Arteta needs to try and come up with a consistent first 11. It might not be the one that he likes, and he might not be the one that he sees as gonna get him through the game, but he needs to pick an 11 that can maybe see us through this season until he can get the players he wants.
Well, I think personally, look, when you look at the likes of Thomas Partey needs a partner in midfield. We saw El Neni do great at Old Trafford. But I think the partner for Thomas Partey has a little bit, all of our midfielders, the partner for Thomas Partey usually has a bit of what each one of them. So a little bit of what Xhaka has, a little bit what Ceballos has, a little bit what Willock has, a little bit of what El Neni has. Kind of has to come, and how does he play that midfield? Does he play, again, what system is he going to use? Is Partey going to be the holding player? Because if he's going to be the holding player, the two players on the outside have to be the attackers and the creators. Or is he going to play two sitters where you could say El Neni could play it, Xhaka can play it? I think Ceballos is playing too deep. I think he needs to be a bit further forward. So, again, you can have two sitting midfielders and you could have Ceballos as a number 10. You could also have Willian as a number 10 if you want. You could have Saka on the left, Pepe on the right, Willian as a 10 or Ceballos as a 10, and Lacazette and Aubameyang up top. Two wing backs and three at the back. 3-5-2 you can go. But again, it just matters on how the manager wants to, how does he see it? I see any one of those midfielders partnering Thomas Partey because Partey's that good. But all of that midfield have their pluses and minuses. If you know what I mean. The pluses, the Willock has got inexperience, but he does great things because he runs beyond. Bit like Ramsey used to, Ramsey used to run beyond the striker, makes a massive difference. Ceballos, he's good on the ball, sometimes tries things that keeps getting caught out, and people can run off him. Xhaka's good on the ball, good user of the ball, but he lacks pace. So players tend to run off him, and he gives free kicks away. But teams like it when Xhaka play because they can run off him. So El Neni's a workhorse, but he's not very creative. He will do a job. He work hard. So maybe that's away from home. He can partner. But again, all of the midfield have certain attributes. But we need one midfielder to have most of them attributes who can, because Thomas Partey could do it all. But do we want him as a sitting midfielder?
What about Smith Rowe in there as well?
What about him? He doesn't trust him.
Would you put him in there? Because I'm hearing a lot of things that Arteta rates him. But obviously because of his injury,
if he rates him, then he's going to give him a go, isn't he?
This is a problem with Smith Rowe. Is injury prone, which is maybe why Arteta's not playing him at the moment.
Well, it's trust, isn't it? He's got to be able to trust him to play, and that's why he's not played.
Yeah, Yeah, do you know, it's a tricky one, and you know, I wouldn't want to be in Arteta's shoes.
Listen,
I,
being
I,
a
I just,
manager, and having you on him, Dan, I tell you what.
yeah, Kev, do you know what it is, right? I just feel that the lack of experience is what's going to cost him his job ultimately, and that's that. You know, obviously, I want Arteta to succeed. We all do. I just feel that, especially when you've got a group of inconsistent players as we have, I just feel that having no experience as a manager is I just think it's wrong. I
Dan,
just
hold on a minute. We had a manager last season and the season before who had all the experience. Couldn't do anything with
yeah.
them. Yeah,
And but
you got to
he had a
Europa League
slight,
final.
he had a
Got to Europa
and that's
League
the
final.
thing.
And we capitulated in that. Let's be honest, in the second half. We were
One
up
point
to 8
for
games
almost
left.
at four. Yeah.
But don't forget, we had 8 games left, and we were playing Crystal Palace and then Brighton at home, and we couldn't get over the line. So I don't want to
I
hear
think
anybody talk
I think
about experienced managers. He had all the
but I think
experience.
Arteta's got better players now than what Emery had.
No, but he's only just got them. He's only just got them. It's been 8 games in the league. What do you want him to do? He's not even been at the club a year. He's just got Partey and Gabriel. Partey's played what, 2, 3 league games? Gabriel's played what, 8? That's all it is. So So what do you expect, Dan? What do you expect?
I expect us to perform better as a team. I expect us to perform better. I expect us to certainly have score from open play, which is when you look at the players we've got, Aubameyang, world class, absolutely prolific. Lacazette, we know he can be a talent. We've got Willian. You see him at Chelsea. He's done it at Chelsea. He's done it. You've got Bukayo Saka, who is a good young talent. So there's players in there that are creating things.
Yeah, but they're not playing well, Dan. Look, the players you mentioning have played.
But but see, the thing is, like last season, like why
Yeah,
isn't Saka being played up on that left hand side? And
because
then you could,
Aubameyang's
because he
playing
might,
there.
yeah, because then,
That's why.
why not move Aubameyang, right? And this is listen, let's just play devil's advocate here for a second. Why not put Pepe on the right, Aubameyang down the middle, and Saka on the left? Because we know that Arteta wants to play this 4-3-3. He obviously wants to do a similar situation as what Guardiola did at Man City. And then, you could have players, the players in midfield. I think that front three would, it might not work, but listen, if you don't try it, you're never going to know. And obviously the current system and the current group of players, that current front three is not creating nothing. So you can't keep persisting with it, expecting things to change. Because see, the problem is as well, and this is the problem that Arteta's got, is that in this current era of football, especially this season, where there's a lot of teams in the league that have improved this season. You look at Everton, Spurs are up there. Listen, Chelsea have spent massive amounts of money. Obviously you got Liverpool and Man City, but then you look at Aston Villa. Listen, listen, Sunday's a case in point that they can rip anybody apart. Listen, they've done it to Liverpool.
I know. But
And
don't forget, what were the results of their 2 games previous?
Yeah, they lost. But that's the
Yeah.
thing, Kev,
So,
right?
but this is what I'm saying, Dan. Anybody can beat anybody at the time. What everybody is striving for, Dan, is consistency. Even when we played Leicester at home, Leicester were coming off the back of, what is it, 2 or 3 defeats. And some of them were hammerings. Some of them were hammerings. Everybody is striving to try and be consistent, but nobody, even Liverpool at times ain't consistent. Manchester City haven't been really consistent. The moment people start to hit that vein of consistency, then you're going to start seeing everybody start to move and the league start to take shape. It's only 8 games.
But Kev, what I worry about, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans will feel the same, is that if we don't fix up soon, everybody's going to pass us by, and we're going to slip further and further down the table. You know, I don't think we're in danger of ever getting relegated or anything like that. Listen, I know last season we came pretty darn close to it, but I just fear that if things don't fix up soon, that everybody's going to pass us by. You know, everybody, because you see, like I say, everybody's improving. Everybody's improving. The league is becoming more and more open.
Dan, it won't last forever. Again, all this is this for me. This for me. I've been at Arsenal when the team struggled to score. Don't forget, I've been part of a George Graham team, etc., where the team struggled to score. It's not the first time it's happened, and it won't be the last, Dan. But Arsenal have got too much quality, and it's just not clicking at the moment. But it will. It will click. It won't be like this forever, trust me.
I do hope you're right. I do hope you're right, Kev, because the football. Listen, and this is like I'm massively worried that, you know, even with the performances against Sheffield and West Ham, I sort of felt that the performance wasn't there. But okay, yes, we got away with it because we got the win.
Yeah, we won, and again, we definitely never played well, Dan. I agree with you on that. I agree with everybody. The team are not playing well at the moment, and Arteta has to find the right balance to get the team playing well. That's his job as a manager.
Yeah.
But I truly know once Arsenal start to click, then you're going to see.
I want to ask you this then, Kev. If we don't, what our target, we all know them, is to get back into the Champions League.
Yeah.
If we don't get that, should things change?
No,
and I'm not.
Shouldn't.
I'm not.
No, it shouldn't.
I want to ask you why. Why not?
Why? Because it's still not Arteta's team. Because look, when a manager comes in, he inherits certain players. We know what he's inherited, Dan. We're saying we want the performances to be more consistent, but we know that the players are inconsistent. So we're only getting what we know. Mikel Arteta's going to have to move and shake, and he's going to have to do things. He's going to have to patch it up until he can bring in players that he needs. It's far too important. He knows what he needs, Dan. But is he getting back fully? I don't think he is quite yet. And it may take a couple of transfer windows to get it remotely like he wants it. Now, if he can't go big in January, which I don't think Arsenal will do anyway, it's got to be at the end of the season. The key to it is, will Arsenal show enough to keep the fan base level-headed enough to say, right, this summer, there's got to be changes? Because don't forget, there's certain wages going off the wage bill where you can start bringing in players. And you could bring in a good few players. So I believe
that's the other thing as well, right?
Well, I believe Arteta has to get to next summer. If he qualifies for the Champions League, great. If he doesn't, the team have to show enough that he gets the benefit of the doubt to go and get his own players.
Because that's the thing as well. If we don't hit our targets and the manager stays, what's the point in having targets?
Well, not every time you set a target, you don't hit it. We've had targets at Arsenal. We've had targets at Arsenal for the last 10 years. Do you reckon we've hit our target?
No, definitely not.
Right.
And that's maybe been our problem, is that we've not been ruthless enough.
Yeah, but Dan, what else? Again, in the last few years, we've had targets of qualifying for the Champions League, and we haven't done it. But it's not as if our squad has changed much. Finally, we said, well, we know we need a centre half. We know we need a central midfielder. Why don't we buy it? Well, Arteta's addressed those problems, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he's addressed them. So we need some consistency now. We need to try and he's got to get to the summer. He has to. And if he can qualify for the Champions League, great. If he could win a trophy, great. But he's got to get to a position to the January and maybe bring 1 or 2 in if he can, and then get to the summer, and then that's where the wholesale changes come in.
Yeah. And if he can't in January, should he? And I'm going to ask you this, listen, a lot of people are going to go up in arms in the chat, but knowing that we lack creativity, should he bring back Mesut Ozil for the final part of the season?
No. He's done.
So you wouldn't bring him back?
No.
You wouldn't.
What
you
for?
Wouldn't bring him back?
No. Well, because what for? What are you bringing him back for?
Listen, I'm not Ozil's biggest fan. Everybody who watches this channel knows that I can't stand the guy. But we need to do something in terms of creativity, because we severely lack it at the moment. And we need to do something, Kev, because we lack it.
Ozil is not the answer, mate.
I'm not saying he's the long term.
Dan, let me speak. You asked me the question, and I'm answering. Ozil is not the answer. He is finished at Arsenal.
Listen, I get your point, but the longer it goes without creating chances, more and more people are going to ask the same question that I've put to you.
Bro, I've answered it. You can ask all you want.
No. But
people can ask. People can say what they want. I'm saying Arsenal lacking and not playing well will not last forever. When Arsenal were winning the FA Cup last season and beating Man City and beating Chelsea, I never had anybody asking for Ozil. Did you? No. Nobody. But because we're not playing well, and because things are very difficult right now, it's easy to say, yeah, that Ozil's been a part of it where they've won nothing. Ozil's been a part of beatings. So let's have it right. Ozil's been a part of games where we've been blown away at half-time, before half-time.
But, because he's been asked to do things that he's not comfortable with.
Well, right. Do you know what, Dan? Tough.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Kev that he should do that. I agree that he should do those things. Listen, I agree. I agree with you, right? But I just think it's criminal to have somebody on that high wages and not do nothing with him. Not do nothing with him.
Listen, Mikel Arteta has made the decision. Mesut Ozil had the opportunity.
Yeah.
To influence. Third manager now, Daniel. Third manager.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I was just playing devil's advocate.
No, I'm only asking the question. No, you can play devil's advocate all you want. but the facts are there. So they all can't be wrong.
No, listen, I agree. But also, I think as well, we've got a guy now who can do the work that Ozil was asked to do in Thomas Partey. Are you there, Kev?
I'm here, mate.
Sorry. I don't know. You were breaking up there a little bit before. That's why I was just. But yeah, we've got a guy like Thomas Partey who can do that, and Ozil can concentrate on what he's good at. Listen, I'm not saying it's a long-term solution. I'm just saying it's criminal to have a guy on 350 grand a week, and he's just doing nothing at the club. If I would have, I asked you on.
Daniel, it's his choice.
I asked you on the deadline day stream, would you pay him up? And I sort of sit there thinking now that maybe paying him off would have been a better option. Just cut ties. Because see, the thing is, Kev, the problem is, right?
Dan, I've got to cut across you there. Dan, hold on. I've got to cut across you there. Arsenal have tried to negotiate with him to pay him off. He's going nowhere. He's come out and said it. He's going nowhere. So let's not even talk about it because he's going nowhere. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to sit there. He wants to pick up his dough, which is his prerogative, by the way. The club signed him, so it's his prerogative. But Mikel Arteta has not seen enough. Mikel Arteta has not, Mesut Ozil is not putting the work in for the manager to pick him. Simple as that.
Listen, I agree. I don't think he's a long-term solution. I don't think. I just think
he's no solution, Dan.
But the problem, Kev, the problem with having him around is that whenever we underperform, as we have been, there are going to be people out there, and this is why I had to pose the question.
That's life. But that's life.
There's going to be people out there that go, hang on a second, why is this guy not playing? Why is that? We lack creativity. Listen, we couldn't get our target in the summer. OR. Maybe we could get something in January. Maybe not OR, but maybe the Slopperslide from Salzburg. Maybe somebody of that quality. But we couldn't get that in the summer, but we've got our only creative outlet.
No, he's not, Dan. This is the issue. He's not the only creative person. We've just been through it. Saka's creative. Willian's creative. Pepe's creative. Ceballos is creative. So what do we need? What do we need Ozil for? Someone who doesn't want to put the work in for, and the manager. And it's the third manager who has dropped him. So people could say, Mesut Ozil. That's fine. If they want to say that, that's fine. But the decision has already been made. So, hey, listen, I've got no problem with people calling for him, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. No,
do you know, listen, Dan, do you know what is criminal? Dan, do you know what is criminal?
What's that?
This is criminal. Somebody like Mesut Ozil is earning that sort of money at Arsenal, and he's not willing to put the work in to make a difference in this team. That's what's criminal, mate. Not the fact that we're not playing well and people are calling for him's criminal. That ain't criminal. The criminality is he's a professional footballer, and he should be grafting to make a difference in his team as a top player. But he isn't doing that. That's the issue, and it's the third manager to do it.
Yeah. No, listen, I asked the question because I know there's people out there that probably would have wanted it answered, so I just thought I'd ask the question.
You pulled the pin on the grenade, Dan, didn't you?
I did. I had to pull the pin on the grenade, Kev. I had to because listen. They don't call me the blind gooner for nothing. Do you know what I mean? I might
Yeah,
not be able to see, that grenade, but I certainly
you
pull the
feel it,
pin out
right?
of it.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
pull the pin
yeah.
and feel it. Yeah.
Listen. I'm like a hurricane. I just come in, cause massive destruction, and then it ends in disaster. Do you know what I mean? But I want to ask you, Kev, as well, right? Who would you get in? Who would you be looking at to bring in if
Well,
he was Arteta?
I'll be looking at. I'll look at a midfielder. Oar. I like Oar. I think there are probably 2 or 3 midfielders we could look at. Indeed, at Leicester, I still like him. He's had a little injury right now, but I still think he's another one, which would make us a lot stronger. Because Oar and Ndidi will help Partey solidify that midfield in abundance. Oar's the creative one who can play multiple positions as well, and I think you could do different stuff with Pepe, Saka, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Willian. Once you've got that base, but I don't think we've got a base yet. I'm not too sure what they're going to do with the centre halves, because at times he wants to play a 3, at times he wants to play 4-4-2. Obviously, Saliba is there. Is he going to get a game? I don't know.
Yeah.
So again, David Luiz has got, what is it? He's got a year. Then you might have to
got a year. Yeah. So
he's got a year. So you might have to bring actually another centre half, because Callum Chambers will be gone, Mustafi will be gone. You're going to need proper cover, and you're going to probably need 4 centre halves. And don't forget, Dan, don't forget.
We've got 8 centre backs at the club right now.
Yeah, but Socrates will be gone. Mustafi will be gone.
You got Pablo Mari.
Pablo Mari, he's been injured. He's been out a long term, so we're not too sure what he's going to be like coming back. You got Rob Holding. Don't forget, Rob Holding was supposed to go on loan or going to be sold in the summer. Now he's starting. He's starting ahead of our £30 million signing from Saint Etienne. It's this again. This is baffling. So, signing, recruitment, and adjustments in the squad. I think there's going to be a big cull come the end of the season, and I'm sure Mikel Arteta's got his eyes on different players. But I think somebody to complement Partey in that midfield with an OR. Someone who's got legs. Listen, I like Grealish. I do, playing on the left-hand side. But you've just said, you'd like to see Saka play further forward. So if you bring Grealish in, where does he play?
Well, I would play him over. Listen, Saka's great, but he's not the finished article. I think Grealish right now is probably the finished article. And
he's going to cost you. He's going to cost you 80 million.
You need more than one good player in each position, and
you do definitely.
I look at Grealish as well. He's an English player, and I think it'd be really good to have around.
But would he? This is another thing you got to look at. If Grealish came on the market, there'll be other clubs who would be interested, and other clubs probably further down the line than Arsenal. So it's going to be a tough one.
I think it depends what state we're in if and when that happens. So if we're in the Champions League and we've got the money to spend, I think he would come.
Well, you'd like to think so, but what I'm saying is he'll have a choice. He'll have a choice of the top clubs, and don't forget Manchester United were linked with him end of last season or in the transfer window. So, you know, he's gonna have the pick of wherever he wants to go, mate.
Yeah. Listen, he absolutely is, and you know he might be one of these players that wants to stay at Villa. You know.
Yeah, look, he's a Villa boy. He's a Birmingham lad.
Villa are on the up as well, aren't they? You know, they've improved. They've spent, you know, quite a bit of money on their team, and they look a decent outfit in the Premier League.
Villa are decent, but again, they'll go up and down because, listen, at times they look good and at times they've been awful. But doesn't that seem to be the trend of the Premier League at the minute? Teams have looked good and then teams have been awful. So again, you know, it depends which team turns up. And Arsenal haven't really turned up yet. Really.
And I want to ask you this question, and it was one that I had in the back of my mind when I knew you were coming on, was that, listen, we know we've not been playing. We know every team in the Premier League has been inconsistent. Do you think that is because there's no fans in the stadiums? Do you think that has a part to play in
no.
teams? Do you not think so, Kev? Because
no.
I was sat here thinking, right, and you know we've spent a lot of this stream talking about Sunday's game, and I just sat there thinking that those players wouldn't have been allowed to play the way they did with the fans in the stadium, because there'd be fans on their case, and you know it's a lot easier to do that in an empty stadium.
Dan, we've seen them underperform with fans in the stadium.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So let's not make it out as if the fans are going to inspire the players. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen time and time again. So no, there's no excuses, mate. There's no excuse about fans not being there making us no. There's no excuse.
But it's obviously a miss, though, isn't it? The fans, Kev.
Not everybody misses the fans, of course.
But that's what I'm saying. It's got to make some sort of an impact on the players. You know, not having fans. You know, we talk about, you know, when people say, "Oh."
Yeah, but Daniel, they're used to it now. It's not as if it's the first time they've ever done it. They've done it at the back end of last season. So
yeah, I agree.
So they're used to it.
It's not the first time, but you know, there's the reason why. And this is just my opinion, right? The reason why I believe that the league is so open is because when teams are going to these away grounds, there's no hostile atmospheres to contend with. There's no, and I know.
No, that makes a difference. Yeah, of course that makes a difference.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean because there's no fans there that the home team doesn't play well. No, because there's no home fans there. No chance. When the team's playing well, the team's playing well. When the team's not performing, the team's not performing. In fact, with a crowd there, everything gets magnified. When you're playing well, the crowd feed off the energy of the team playing well. But when the team's playing poorly, especially at the Emirates, the crowd getting onto the team doesn't inspire the team to play well. So we've seen it work both ways, Dan. That's my point.
Yeah. No, listen, I agree. I just wanted to you know, ask you the question because, you know, a lot of people, you know, have sort of have said that it comes down to having no fans, and I always, you know, because you know, people talk about, you know, when teams are playing up at Anfield, you know, they don't want the famous cop crowd, and you know, they struggle to play with that. It's an intimidating ground. You know, so I was just wondering whether you thought that made a difference, you know, not having fans, as to why the league is so open, because, you know, they're not going to these away grounds and they're not facing those kind of atmospheres. It's more like you know, essentially more like training games, you know, because there's nobody there.
Well, so that should really make you play better, shouldn't it?
Listen, I don't know. I don't
If
know,
that's
Kev.
no, if that
Listen,
no, if that's the case, and you're not playing in front of the crowds, that should make you actually play better.
you'd like to think so, but it's not always that
Well, it's
simple, is
not.
it? You know?
Well, this is exactly it. It is
It's not
crackers,
always
mate.
that
It
simple.
is crackers.
It
It is
is
crazy.
crackers. Yeah. Listen, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, so we've gone 20 minutes over the hour. Do you know what, Kev? Every time you come on, we always seem to overrun.
I know.
But listen, do you know what it is, mate? When you get into a good debate and you have a good, do you know what? Listen, we could talk about the Arsenal for hours. We could talk about
For
certain
days, mate.
situations.
Yeah, for days.
Yeah, and it's one of them. It's one of them. You know, it's one of them. And with Arsenal, there's always something to talk about, especially at the moment. And there's, our fan base. I like to. Somebody asked me the other day how best to describe our fan base. I describe our fan base like a dysfunctional family with led by parents. Arsenal team being the parents, being inconsistent. So it's the best way to describe us at the moment.
Yeah, but you know something, Dan. There's great topics. There's great debates. There's people with their own opinions, which is all fine, which is all great. We
Yeah,
don't all agree with each other, and we'd be crazy fan base if we did.
yeah,
Everybody's got their own opinions, and it's what you think is different to me, and what I think is different to some people in the comments and stuff like that. Listen, this is what makes Arsenal such a fantastic club. Of
it
course,
does.
we all want Arsenal to be a lot more consistent, don't we? Of course, we do. We want to qualify for the Champions League in the league, and we want to win the Europa. Of course, we do.
Yeah,
But we need consistency. That's what we need. And we need Arteta to try and find that balance. So whether he chooses the same team and gets consistency, or he makes changes and gets consistency, I don't think anybody would complain as long as we get consistent.
no, exactly. And listen, like I do. I hope we get to get into the Champions League. I hope that Arteta can sort this out. And this is, like you said, this is gonna be a big test of metal in regarding Arteta to see how he is as a coach,
Big
because
time.
he's got some massive decisions to make now, absolutely massive decisions, and he's got the international break to do that. We don't know whether, especially for the next game, whether Partey's going to be available, because it looks like he picked up a bit of an injury in the Villa game. So he's got some massive decisions to make. He's got to turn it round. He's got to turn it round fast, because we've got some. I think our next set of games is, I think it's Leeds. I think we've got Wolves in there. I think we've got Tottenham in there as well.
Yeah, that's our next
Yeah,
three.
and
Leeds, Wolves, Tottenham. Yeah.
And the Spurs one worries me, Kev, as well, because I said this as well to I think I said it on when I went on Claude's channel as well the other week. I said that we can play against teams that are open at the back. We can play against them. We can, like you look at Man United, that when we played against them, we were all over them because they were sort of coming on to us. But teams that just sit behind the ball, and teams that just pack the box and their half of the pitch, we struggle to break them down. We struggle to penetrate that, and I just know that going to play against Spurs, that's what Mourinho's going to do. He's just going to park the bus, and it's going to be for us to try and break that down.
Well, look, as opposed to looking too far ahead, Daniel, because you're looking 3 games ahead. I'm not looking that far ahead. I'm looking at the Leeds game. That's the one we need, because we'd like to build a bit of momentum for that one, then the Wolves one, and then obviously for Spurs. But I don't want to think too far, because we're not playing well enough at the minute to be thinking too far ahead. Let's get a couple of wins under our belt. That's what we need. We need a couple of wins under our belt. Then we could go into the game feeling a bit and see how we are. But we'd much rather be going into there playing well than not, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Absolutely. Well, listen, I guess, listen, do you know what? I never understand it why we have so many international breaks in a season. It just absolutely baffles me. Nobody really cares about the international break. But yeah, we have got another, I think it's another week and a half, week or so to
week and a half of it.
Yeah. And I personally don't understand what, it feels like that we just get going in the league and then we've got another international break and then we just get going and then another international break, and it's
Dan, I think this international break has come at the right time for Arsenal after the Villa performance. I'll be honest with you. I think it has.
Do you really think so?
I really think so. I think it gives Arteta time to look at the videos and look at what's going on. Really, spend time watching it with his coaching staff and that, and seeing.
Yeah.
He can assess stuff, because when there's back-to-back games and there's Europa games to prepare for as well, you don't really have the time to assess the games as much. But now he's got time to sit down and watch some of the games on some of the performances and watch what works and watch what doesn't, and then he could make his mind up. He could watch the Leeds games as well, and he could see what works, and then he could set a system up to for the players to perform. I think that's important now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess we just have to wait and see, and that is the $1 million question, and hopefully he can turn it around. Listen, we've like I say, we've been going for almost an hour and a half now. So Kev, listen, I want to thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure always having you on the channel.
Daniel, I always love our debates, mate. Always passionate, always passionate, and always respectful. I love it, mate.
Of course, and you have to be like that. There's some Arsenal fans that take it too far, but you have to be respectful. You have to, at the end of the day, we all love the club. That I'm always of the opinion that when you get personal in a debate, you've lost the debate anyway. Because if that's all that you've got to come back at is, then there's not worth debate. Yeah, there's no substance. There's no substance, and it just makes you look stupid.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, mate. I totally agree with you, and hopefully you get me on again in a month or so when we're playing well and we could be talking nice stuff. Dad.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Absolutely, Kev. Well, listen, guys. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Listen, thanks to everybody who's contributed in the chat and put your comments in there. So yeah, thanks for that. Do remember, guys, smash the like button. Kev, do you just want to tell people where they can find you? I know you're on Twitter and
Twitter and Insta, on YouTube.
Yeah.
At number one Kevin Campbell. At number one Kevin Campbell. You find me on most social medias. So
yeah, definitely. Well, listen, guys, it's been a great show, great debate, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Listen, I'll be back tomorrow or Friday with a Q&A and then various things throughout the week. So do stay tuned for that. Kev, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure I'd love to get you back on again to have another debate, like you said, in a month's time, hopefully, where we're a bit more upbeat.
Yes, a bit more chipper, and we're a bit more, and the team are playing better. That'll be good.
Yeah, and listen, guys, there's only one thing left to say, and that's come on, you Gunners.